Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. It feels so weird to be making a Wednesday video and not talking about love and translation, but I hope that today's content and what is to follow is just as, if not more interesting, because we are still going to be talking about mixed relationships. We actually have a series in Spanish about the biggest assumptions that people make about interracial, intercultural, language gap, age gap, all of the things that pertain to our particular relationship, because we hear a lot. Today, we are talking about mixed language or language barrier relationships. You might be thinking, oh, well, Krista, you speak English and Spanish, and Alex speaks Spanish, so therefore, y'all don't really have a language gap. I would argue that we still do. Spanish is not my first language. There are times when I am really frustrated. There are times when I am really tired. There are times when I can't find the word in my second language. Or we can go to a family function or a friend function where maybe no one there speaks Spanish and he feels like the odd one out, right? So there are still dynamics that I can relate to, that we can relate to, that I want to be able to talk about and give some realistic feedback about the fears and assumptions and concerns people might have. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the assumptions that I have lined up for us to talk about today. One thing that I have heard from people continuously when I have started a relationship with somebody who doesn't speak English as a first language is just be careful for the come down or be careful for the crash. It's only romantic in the beginning. It's only passionate in the beginning. And then you guys are going to be left with the reality of the fact that you don't speak each other's languages. While I do understand where people are coming from when they say things like that, I also disagree. In the beginning of most relationships, I would say that you probably feel super excited and you're really interested in getting to know that person. When there's a language barrier, you kind of become smitten with the idea of getting to know this person, their food, their culture, their music, and it is going to be more intense because there's so much more to figure out about this person. And yes, you do get to a point where maybe the newness of the situation wears off. I wouldn't say it goes away 100%. You can still have the passion. It's just normal. Another concern that I've heard a lot is, well, how are you going to be able to connect with your partner? How are you going to be able to have something serious if you don't speak each other's languages? Is it impossible to have a connection? No. Is it harder? Yes. If you do the work, is it worth it? Absolutely. It's going to require more thinking outside of the box and getting creative. If you see it as a way to learn each other's languages, learn more about the culture, express yourself in that person's love language so they know that you care about them, there's so many different ways that you can express yourself and connect to your partner outside of verbally. I would imagine a relationship where you both don't know each other's languages, but you're both not interested in learning each other's languages or alternate ways to communicate with them is gonna be pretty rough and short-lived. The next worry a lot of people have is that they're always going to be frustrated or never understand their partner. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say always, but often is probably a good word to use. At the same time, it's par for the course. You can't get upset about being in a relationship that has a language barrier if you knew that you were walking into a relationship that has a language barrier. It's not that person's fault that they don't understand you, and it's not your fault that you don't understand them. Patience is the key ingredient here. If you do not have the patience to see this kind of a dynamic through, don't waste your time. Don't waste that person's time. Don't take your anger out on them unnecessarily. It's just not fair. I think there are moments that will test your patience, but you don't have to get tired of trying or get tired of the other person trying. This kind of relationship can grow your patience and compassion muscles quite a bit. I gave an example in our Spanish language video that I think still applies well in this one. Say, for example, that you want to start going to the gym, getting in shape. Every time that you are supposed to be working out, you have a choice to go, ugh, I don't want to do that. I'm so tired. I don't have the energy for it. Working out is too hard, and get aggravated at the fact that maybe while you're at the gym, you're pissed off because you don't want to be there. Or you can take every day or every opportunity to say, I need to train my brain to get into the habit of doing this thing so that it's not this big, laborious, frustrating issue every time I have to lace up my shoes and go to the gym. You're training yourself to do things differently. You have to train yourself to be patient and look for different ways to communicate with the person you care about, but don't give up on them just because it's hard. This particular concern upsets me a lot. When you are entering into a relationship with somebody, your goal should not be to change them or to remake their identity in some way. When we take on the thought process of, well, if you're going to be with me, you need to learn English, and once you learn English, that's all we're speaking 24/7. That is unfair. There are a lot of people who then become concerned about, if I lose or if I stop speaking this language, not necessarily that they're going to forget it, but it's a part of their identity. It's part of who they are. And if you push for this person to learn your language, it can feel like you're pushing their identity right out of them. In a healthy relationship, no one should feel like they have to give up their native language to be loved. This is another one that gets under my skin so bad. We rely so heavily on technology and we don't take into consideration the human part of communication. There's so much nuance and so many cultural contexts and layers in communication that translators and technology just don't pick up on in the same way. Technology is a tool. It's not a crutch. It's not something that you should be relying on to sustain the conversation in your relationship. For some reason or another, there's always this idea that if you date a person that doesn't speak your language, it's going to cause problems with your family. Your connections with your friends are going to suffer because your friends won't be able to understand that person. As somebody who has brothers with special needs, we were brought up kind of figuring out how to communicate with people in ways that made sense and not necessarily with words all the time. Alex is really fortunate in the sense that my family, while they don't always understand him and while he doesn't always understand them, they get along. They look for ways to connect outside of words. If you have a family that is racist, or you have a family that is against the idea of you dating this person that doesn't speak English, it will be harder. If your friends are going to make fun of the fact that your partner does not speak English fluently, you don't need to have those kinds of friends. The right group of friends and the right group of family members will support your relationship as long as it's healthy. As cheesy and cliche as it sounds, if you have the right person and the connection is there, regardless of the language that your family speaks with them, it'll work, it'll click, it'll go over well. I can't even say that the majority of people that will comment on your relationship are people that have your best interest at heart. Ignorance abounds. People are gonna people, and people say and do stupid things. One of the things is that it is doomed to failure. It is not going to last. It doesn't make any sense. You're wasting your time. Just because a relationship is different doesn't mean that it's doomed. And a lot of times when people speak that kind of messaging into your life, it's coming from a place of fear that they have, or even ignorance that they have about the particular topic. They would much rather see you be safe than try something new and risk being hurt. There are people who will speak wisdom into your life, and there are people who are just going to be negative. You have to discern what is wisdom and what is negativity, and you have to decide what it is that you all are going to allow into this sacred space that is your relationship. Would you ever enter into a language barrier relationship? There's no wrong answer, and if you feel comfortable sharing your why or why not in the comments, I'd love to read and respond to those. As we always say on our channel, and even more so when it comes to this mixed relationship reality series, with God, all things are possible. I hope to see you next week. Take care.